Good evening, y'all. So, for those who are in the back, why don't you come forward? We'll just have a nice, intimate Lent service tonight. I know. Well, welcome to Lent. I'm Pastor Susan Bollinger, and this is Bethany Lutheran Church for those who are making sure they're tuning into the right place. The Lord be with you. So tonight we are, so this is a service that kind of morphed into a few things. So it kind of started in one space and it's becoming this prayerful Lenten season. But we're starting out with a little bit more of a traditional Lent. We have a few songs, and then we're going to have Chris talk about the book of Esther. And so before we got to that, I just want to say that there's a lot, we follow something called the lectionary, which is year A is the book of Matthew, year B is the book of Mark, and year C is the book of Luke. And John is intermixed between the three of those. But there's a lot of the Bible that gets left out because of lectionary. And the lectionary has a lot of pluses and minuses. But on the minus side, some of these parts are left out. So we're going to have Chris talk about the book of Esther, which is mostly left out of the lectionary, including this verse, which is pretty famous. But I'm going to read this verse that we do know, which is 4:14 of Esther. And the book of Esther is about a Jewish woman who had the opportunity to save her people. Her uncle is talking to her saying, "For if you keep silence at such a time as this, relief and deliverance will rise for the Jews from another quarter, but you and your father's family will perish. Who knows? Perhaps you have come into royal dignity for just such a time as this." During this trying COVID season, my installation came 3 weeks before the COVID shutdown, the first installation I had. And so this verse has played out a lot in my life. Maybe you came into all of this for just such a time as this. I've had a lot of talks with God about that, but I don't know if I found that amusing, But it's just, there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot that's been going on. So next week, we're going to do a special service on kind of healing from COVID times. That's what the theme will be. The week after that is going to be a healing of the nations. And the week after that, or I might be mixing these up, but the week after that will be kind of a Tizay, just a pure prayer time. So I invite you into this time of prayer. And we'll start with the book of Esther, because there was a lot going on in her time as well. So let's just start with a word of prayer, and we'll move from there. Holy and gracious God, you've called all of us to such a time as this. For some of us, you've called us to lead during COVID times. For some of us, you've called us to continue to serve during COVID times. For some of us, you've called us to just live and be during these COVID times. And there's still a lot, even past that, going on in the world today. And we've seen a lot in the last 2-3 years. So we ask, God, that you bring us into the season of Lent with a time of saying to the waves, peace, be still. Bring us into a prayerful time and a time of calm, a time of stillness, and a time where we sit and hear your voice. It's also a time for us to lament for what has been and what will be. In Jesus' holy name, amen. Please pray with me the prayer of evening. I thank you, my Heavenly Father, through Jesus Christ, your dear Son, that you have graciously kept me this day, and I pray that you would forgive me all my sins where I have done wrong, and graciously keep me this night. For into your hands I commend myself, my body, my soul, and all things. Let your holy angels be with me, that the evil foe may have no power over me. Amen.
I said, don't sing that song before I speak. I forgot it makes me cry. I will try to speak up enough so that you can hear me. If you can't, the pastor's going to make faces at me or reach up and wave. Arnold can wave from the back if you can't hear me. I was singing in a club once, and I had a piano player that threatened to plug my mic into his foot. So I know I have the ability to be heard. Whether I always use it in my old age, I'm not sure. I have to do this because it's my favorite Lutheran thing. The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
That's my favorite Lutheran thing. I even did it in the Baptist church at my dad's funeral, those of you who were there. So we got all the Baptists on board with it. It was fun. Now, one of the first stories about me as a child, I think happened in the nursery. I don't remember it, but they told it. And they asked, do any of you know a Bible story? When as a preacher's kid, even at the age of 3, I thought I knew it all. And I said, well, there were these 3 bears, and they cut me off right there and said, that's not a Bible story. And I went, it's not? Well, it turns out I was a little bit theologically skewed. And so I've been working on that ever since. Pastor Susan and I discussed covering some stories this year that weren't necessarily covered in the liturgy. And I went around asking people